Good afternoon, and thank you for taking time from your busy schedules to join us today and learn about the Rotman CIOCAN CIO Executive Leadership Program. I'm Carolyn Reimer, Project Coordinator with the CIO Association of Canada. This session is being recorded for educational, informational, and promotional purposes. I'd like to start by introducing our guest speakers today. Derek Cullen, CIO.D, is the Chief Information Officer with Stikeman Elliott and the CIOCAN Leadership Director. Derek is going to share about the designation and qualifications needed to receive the CIO.D. We also have John Oesch with us here today. He's an Associate Professor, Teaching Stream with the Rotman School of Management and will provide course details as well as a session outline for the program. And last but not least, we have Surani Adamesco, CIO.D and Senior Vice President, Information Technology with SiriusXM Canada. Surani is a graduate from the first cohort last spring, and she'll provide insight into her experience and benefits of taking the course. After the presentation, we have set aside time for your questions. So Derek, over to you.
Thank you very much, Carolyn, and thank you everyone for giving up a little bit of your lunch hour to learn about this pretty unique program, and hopefully we'll be able to answer some of your questions, and in particular during the Q&A at the end of this discussion. So just going off script a little bit here, some background for all of you. I joined something called the CIO Association of Canada about 4 or 5 years ago, looking to broaden my reach within the IT executive community. And I've been a member ever since, and we'll talk a little bit about the association. And about roughly around 2021, I was working with the CIO Association, and my thought really was, could we possibly come up with a designation for CIOs? I've done some research, and we really didn't see a lot out there in the market. We saw stuff for cyber, like CCSOs and CISSPs, and obviously we've all heard of the ICD.D, but there wasn't really one around Canada for a designation for CIOs. And we thought about institutions to help us partner on this. And of course, Rotman's School of Business, U.T., came to mind first. And so we worked very studiously with the leadership at Rotman School of Management to put together a program with them, which John will talk about. And we launched that program in September of 2023. We're now approaching our 4th cohort, which will put us close to 100 official designates throughout not just Canada, but around the world, but mostly Canada. And yeah, I'll talk a little bit about that, the designation side of things. So, who would be looking for something like this? So someone who is in a senior IT leadership role today, you might be a C-level today, or you might be looking for justification, as many of us have in our career, to obtain that C in front of your name. When your leadership or board really don't understand the significance of IT leaders having a seat at the executive table or being involved in board discussions. You might be a senior leader in a manager or a director role who's looking to make that step to the C level and would like something on your resume to attest to the fact that you are a qualified CIO with respect to our association and the Rotman's program. So that really is our target audience. And it's not necessarily the CIO role itself. It could be many C-level technology roles: CISO, CXO, CDO, CIO, and so on. We as part of our cohort, we have all kinds of folks and all the different IT, either aspiring or C-level roles. Again, so this is anyone looking to aspire to a CIO role, or someone to attest who is a CIO today and wants to add the designation to their portfolio or their CV. And we're really finding that this designation is catching wind, and a lot of people are hearing about it. And to attest to that, all of you are here today, which is great news. Maybe we can move to the next slide. So on top of the designation, and we'll get into the requirements for that, you really gain access to a community of senior IT leaders throughout Canada. The association itself is over 550 CIOs. And I'll call it the boutique membership of the graduates from the CIO.D program. By the end of this next cohort in March, we'll hit 100 people. We're at 70. We typically run 30 per cohort. So sorry, we'll not be at 70. We'll be at closer to 100. So you have access not only to 550 CIOs across Canada or senior leaders, but you have now a unique community, very similar to the ICD.D, of people who are designated CIOs, and we're just starting to build that community and start to look at different events we can hold across Canada, different knowledge sharing, and so on. So it's a very exciting time to jump in and get involved in this designation for CIOs. So I mentioned before, this is a great way to jumpstart, moving to the CIO role and applying for other CIO roles. You're just attesting to your current experience.
That's great. Thank you, Derek. Yeah. John, can you please share details about the program and the weekly classes?
I'd be happy to. Connor, if you can advance the slide, please.
Sorry, we missed one more slide. Sorry, Carolyn.
Did you want to continue, Derek?
I'll just zap this one out because I know there'll be questions about it, John. I apologize.
No worries.
So obviously, with any designation, we want to make sure that that you meet the qualifications similar to other professional designations. So part of the application process for both the Rotman's program and the eventual designation is we verify that you have at least 3 years of IT leadership experience. We talk to references you would provide. You obviously have to attend John and team's program, which is a 5-week, 10-module program. He'll talk to you about in a second. You have to pass a 50-question exam at the end of the Rotman's program, which is comprised of any of the pre-reading material and the program that John is going to talk about. And then you obviously become a member of the CIO Association. And just to make sure we stay in good standing, like any good designation, we ask that over a 3-year period, you obtain continuing education credits. And that could be something as simple as authoring a white paper around executive leadership, attending a cyber executive conference or a CIO conference, or even attending our events. And I'm sure there'll be more questions about this at the end of the session. And my apologies, John. We'll turn it over to you with respect to the program itself.
No worries. So you see here an overview of what we'll try to do at the end of winter into spring. In this program, you really do get a little bit of 2 for 1 because this program is a Rotman designated program, i.e., it is taught mostly by Rotman faculty. We bring in a few outsiders with particular expertise, but you will get a certificate stating that you have completed a Rotman leadership program. And along with that, it can be one of 3. If you take another couple of Rotman leadership programs, it will be one of 3 in a sequence where you can get a designation from Rotman. You also, as Derek has mentioned, you get the designation from CIO. So we at Rotman provide you with an outcome for the effort and the cost of this, and then CIO Canada does the same, which is great. So there's an overview of kind of how we're doing things. They're online, but as the academic director of this program, and what the academic director does is make sure we have the best faculty available for teaching these things online. It is an online program. These people, mostly Rotman professors, are selected because they already have succeeded in doing executive education online. So that overview, again, if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them later on. And there are a couple of colleagues here from Rotman who might even be able to help me with that if required. So the exam stuff is CIO Canada. The sessions run by Rotman, and there's a Rotman certificate that goes along with that. Connor, if you could advance the slide, we'll get an overview of what it is that actually comprises the program. So you can see it's intensive in a way that we compress these 10 3-hour sessions into 5 weeks, but it does allow everybody to participate in afternoons for the most part from where you are. And that's the beauty of doing things online. I mean, in a classroom, you get a slightly different experience, but online you can continue to do what you need to do and still experience the content and the network building that you do with your colleagues in that virtual classroom. So you can see the sequencing that we have here as you go from week 1 through to week 5. I will lead a session about leadership, and what a CIO has to do in terms of leadership. And it's not just leadership in terms of, the information technology and information service for your organization. It's also leadership at the strategic level in the C-suite. And as we move through these things, we have a variety of Rotman professors. We also have Derek will be delivering a couple of sessions as well. And if you look at week 3, day 6, we bring in someone who, when I look at the qualitative evaluations of this program as the academic director, I'm privy to all of them. The number one qualitative, hit is the diversity, equity, and inclusion. Lots of people, when they hear about this, there's a little bit of, oh, and here we go again. The person that we have doing this, the people that we have on the bench doing this are tremendous individuals who've experienced this and presented in a way that everyone who provided feedback said that was by far and away the most engaging and most informative and practical diversity, equity, inclusion session they'd ever been with. Okay, so you can see that the titles here. If you look at a title and you're wondering, what is in there and what's that really about, I'm happy to answer questions when we're during the question period. I know these things inside and out because I sit in on the sessions and I listen and pay attention and know what the questions are that people tend to ask. So that's my take on things. I mentioned that this program can be one of a sequence that you could get another certificate from Rotman for taking a sequence. And Sharon Dupin, who's on this call and listening in, would want me to say, once you've taken a program at Rotman, you become an alumnus, and alumni do get discounts on the other programs that they might take. Everybody's in sales, so there you go. So with that, Carolyn, I'll turn it back over to you, and I thank you for your attention, and I'll be around to answer questions if you have any.
Thanks, John.
Thanks, John.
So now I'd like to welcome back Derek Cullen and invite Surani Adamesco to share her experience with the program.
Thank you very much. And welcome, Surani, and thank you for participating in a little bit of a Q&A with me. Surani, thank you for keeping my car musically mobile with whatever technology. I've been a serious customer for probably 20 years. I'm sure in the background that you're involved from a technology perspective. But why don't you tell me a little bit about your experience with the program? You're already an SVP at SiriusXM. That's a significant senior technology role. How did you find the modules? How did you what kind of value did you find in them for your current role, or any future goals for yourself?
Well, thank you. Thanks for having me, Derek, and everybody. I'm actually very excited to talk about this. I am currently leading the technology group at SiriusXM Canada, and in a senior role, I sit at the executive table representing tech. So part of the reason I think I was looking for something unique, and I think I found it in this. From what did I take from this role? I think as a senior leader, and especially in technology, we need to understand all the different areas of the business. It's never one thing and we can't hide behind something. And I found that in this program, having it modularized the way that John talked about it, it was helpful to kind of gain an understanding of, like a deeper understanding of what we already do innately. So I found that it gave me a little bit more confidence in what I was doing. I don't know that everything was entirely new, but it gave me confirmation that I was doing things correctly, because I think we're always seeking to find out, are we going down the right path? Do we know, am I doing the things I'm supposed to be doing? And the way these modules were, I think, really helped kind of solidify it. I also found like partnerships like this in the finance section. I think we had CIO, CFO being partners. I applied this to all the other areas of the business today too, because John just mentioned we're all in sales. We really are. And having a partnership with the different areas of all the different stakeholders make our life easier, understanding what's coming, how we plan for it. The other areas I think I found is showing up as a CIO, understanding that there is a strategic element to this, and it's not necessarily just the doing. How are we planning with the rest of the organization? Having a seat at the table. I think it's a good saying that kind of carried through the entire program, is making sure that we understand that we are as important to the organization as the sales org that's bringing in the revenue. Because if we don't lay that foundation, it's not easy to get in those sales. So it's a critical role, and being able to advocate for that role and building those partnerships and building throughout it. The other module that I found really good was, I think it was in the executive presence section, around your brand and how you show up and the message that you're giving to the rest of the organization, as well as the people that are following you in your organization. How do you lead? What is your leadership style? Understanding what people need in order to succeed. So I definitely found I got different elements from the different modules. There was always a nugget, not just from the people who were actually conducting, but also from the peers. I found the breakout groups very valuable in that element.
I was going to add that, Surani, thank you. Like, part of what I saw was, and what's unique about this program and each of the modules, is there's a super amount of collaboration going on. Everyone's discussing what they've done in their workplace and talking about challenges they've come into. The breakout sessions are very much talking about those challenges and getting together and figuring out ways to overcome them or deal with them. I found that, a very cool part of this Rotman's program, right?
And I think it makes us feel like we're all in this together. We were all facing the same challenges. And so nothing's unique. And it's around how is everybody else handling something and getting benefit from that information.
Right. Thank you. So on the designation side, you went through the process after taking the Rotman's course, and you checked off all the boxes to achieve your designation. How did you feel about that? Did you get any reaction from that? How do you feel about having an official designation for a CIO? Has it been any benefit at this short period of time yet?
Well, I think there's a confidence element, which I really appreciated from the designation. And I also feel like from an external perspective, even seeing it on LinkedIn makes me feel good to see it. And then when I see other people have that designation, that there's an extra little pat in the back that you get from it, which I believe is valuable. One of the reasons for me taking this particular program is I was looking for something that tied technology with leadership, because I had taken leadership courses and I had done different technology programs, and I really was looking for something that had a designation that spoke to a CIO, and this kind of fit exactly that. And I think it was a big reason why I wanted to take it, was the designation. And I do hear other people in the industry talk about it now, which is nice. I was out in a function and somebody talked about seeing my profile. So I think there is value in it, and having that little CIO.D at the end of your name.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much, Surani, for lending some of your experience and input with respect to the program and the designation. I know we've covered a lot, so perhaps we could get to the fun stuff, Carolyn, and see if we have any questions.
Absolutely. So if you have a question, please feel free to use the icon on the top of your screen, and you can ask Derek, John, or Surani a question.
Unless we did too good of a job and no one has any.
That can happen. Sam, you have a question.
Yes, hi there, and thank you for the presentation and all the information shared so far. I was curious, in addition to the time commitment for the sessions, what do we expect outside of those sessions as far as the time commitment?
Sure. So there's some time commitment for each of the modules in terms of pre-reading. each one of the professors provides a list of pre-reading for the module. I think they're not, they're not usually take-home projects, so to speak. Everything is accomplished during the modules. There's certainly, once it's all said and done, some time commitment from yourself to review all of the material, and it is recorded, and you do have access to the material before and after the modules to review it again with respect to being able to complete the exam.
I'm going to jump in here, Derek.
Yeah.
Like there was pre-reading. Not every module had pre-reading, I believe, but some of them do, and it is published ahead of time. I found it was valuable to spend some time just going through it and making a couple of notes for myself, because when you're actually in the module, it's not necessarily going through the documents that you have been pre-reading, depending on the module. So, and some of it, you'll go through it, but it helps to have a good understanding beforehand. So you may need, I don't know, depending on how much content is in there, an hour or two of extra time prior to the session, just to get an understanding of that pre-reading material, because it's helpful in the actual session.
And I'll step in here as well. We have directives, as anybody who from the academic side, as a professor, steps into executive programs. Please don't give people a whole bunch of pre-readings. We choose the one that will have the most impact. So we put guardrails around our professors to make sure that if you engage with the pre-reading for an hour or two, as Surani says, that your learning will be more efficient as you go through. And if that's not the case, you let us know in feedback, and then I read all of that feedback, and I politely encourage instructors to make sure we have an impactful pre-read and or post-read, because sometimes hearing the language that's used in particular sessions helps you to read something really much more efficiently as well. So we are not here to provide you with tons of extra work. We're here to provide you with some sort of an optimum in terms of efficiencies.
Thank you, John. I'll jump to the chat before I take the hands. So,
Sure.
Matthew, I think we got your question through email also, and I think the feedback from Rotman's is you have to attend 80% of the modules. So if you have to miss 2 days, there are recordings you could take, but you wouldn't want to miss any more than that. And we really do recommend you try and hit them all. So I think you'd be okay if you missed 2 sessions. We got that feedback from Rotman's already.
Better if you don't.
Right. Yeah. I mean, the last 2 cohorts, there's been very few absences. That the thing that becomes a little trickier is the exam scheduling, to be honest. And then Ranjit, the deadline for applications. To be honest, the deadline for the last 2 cohorts has been just that they fill up. Okay, so the first one starts. The first module is March 17th. I expect they will fill up way ahead of that. We do run cohorts in March and September, so 2 a year. But we do need enough time to validate your application, talk to your references, and so on. So I would definitely say that you want to register as quick as possible before it fills up. We've got about 10 spots left right now out of the 30 for this cohort. And then hands. Corey, your hand is up.
Yes, thank you. I have another designation in the security industry called CPP, Certified Protection Professional. Now, the reason I'm asking that is because I have to do credits for that. So would credits that I would essentially get from that designation possibly transfer over to the credits for the CIO.D as well?
Yeah, so it depends. So I have 3 or 4 security designations. The one that I think has a bit of overlap is the CCISO, because it's a CISO designation. So if you're attending anything cyber related that has a leadership component to it, then yes, you could use those credits for both of your designations, your cyber one and this one.
Okay,
Makes
perfect.
sense?
Yeah, because
Yeah.
my CPP designation, there's a annual conference where you go to, it's called GSX, and a lot of those sessions, it's very much like the CIO one where you go to sessions and whatnot. I gear them towards cybersecurity and all that kind of stuff. So it's good to know that those credits can transfer over.
Yeah. definitely. And after the March session, any idea what the next one will be? Yeah, there were March and September every year, the cohorts so far.
Yeah, and September into October, because we do use 5 full weeks.
Any other questions?
Sam.
Sorry, Sam.
I'm curious about so the designation is, I'm assuming, national.
Yes.
Are there plans to try to expand it beyond Canada?
Yeah, because being very transparent here, it is a designation from the CIO Association of Canada, right? So in my dream of dreams, if this thing catches on the way I think it is over the next couple of years, then we may change our business model, right? We've had people from as far away as Africa obtain this designation right now, but I do understand that there probably is a need for it in the U.S. NYU and other entities have designations, but there's typically CTO designations, and that's very much a different program than Rotman's has put together. So yes, we have aspirations to bring this to a more North American audience. We're taking baby steps right now.
Okay, thank you.
Another question with the credits. Yeah, okay. Like beers with peers dinners will take place in specific chapters. Yes, any CIO can, obviously as part of this designation, you need to become a CIO can member. When you become a member, you're going to get invited to all kinds of events for your local chapters. You would have seen on slide 8, we have 9 local chapters across Canada. And when you get together in those events, those count towards your designation because it's a CIO event, a CIO can event. So yes.
I'd like to comment on something Surani said, and it might weave through some of these questions about designations. She said, there's pride associated with seeing this on LinkedIn and being one of this smaller and select group of people that have that accreditation. So the geeky academic on this side of my camera says, what we're dealing with here is social identity. And one of the things that I talk about in my leadership, CIO as leader session is your group, the people working for you, with you, to make sure that good service is provided and good strategic input is used with the rest of the C-suite, need to develop a social identity around the strategic nature of information technology, of technology services, et cetera, et cetera. And what Surani was talking about, it is really good to be able to identify with a group of people who have the same designation as one of your social identities. Everybody has many, but this will be we are, and we start using that plural pronoun. We are designates with CIO Canada, with the CIO.D designation, and that's there's nothing but good that comes from that, unless we form a cult. But for me, there's nothing but good that comes from that. Okay.
Makes sense, John. Thank you.
You bet.
One more question from Jerry in the chat. For anyone interested in CTO, CDO, is this still helpful? Yes. There's a large percentage of our graduates who are CTOs, and in particular CDOs. We're calling it the CIO Association, but even our membership, CIO Canada, we have a CISO chapter, and we're made up of all kinds of CXOs from the technology sectors, not just CIOs. We had to land on one name, and it was CIO Association, but it's C any technology role. Jerry. Oh, yeah, Jerry, we met this week to talk about that. You are effectively a CTO. That's correct. I think I answered Z's question. And how is the final exam proctored? When I did my CSSP in 23 and PMP, we had to go back to a third party. No, so the proctoring is done by Rotman's. The exam is written over a Zoom call. It's proctored by you'll get to know Linda on the Rotman's team and her team, as well as myself. It's a clear desk policy, no additional screens. We make sure you show us your room. You cannot, obviously, it's not open book. So it's not as stringent as we tried in the first cohort to install software that would make sure you didn't have anything fishy going on in your laptops. It became, for many of us who have lockdown desktops in the corporate environment, it became a mess. So we go on an honor system. It is proctored. We make sure you're on a single screen, your desk is clear, and that your eyes are ahead. And so yes, and it's not a third-party location. You can do it from the quiet of your home. Good, I got a thumbs up for that one. Tech
Are there
announcing.
any other questions?
I'll answer one question I didn't get. The passing mark on the exam is 70%. The exam is a healthy mix of material covered in the course and material you should already know as a senior IT executive. So I would put it at 50-50. So if you didn't pay attention at all during class or study, you would fail. You'd probably get 50 just based on experience. So you need to review the material. I think it's a very fair exam. And if you by chance fail, and people do fail, there is a second exam. And up to this point, nobody has failed the second exam. So I think the exam is tough but fair.
Sorry, Derek, and what's the format for the exam?
Multiple choice.
Oh, it's all multiple choice. Okay.
It's 50 questions. Every professor submits questions from their module, and we build the exam out of those questions. So the exam actually follows the outline of the actual Rotman's course outline. For example, you'd have a delivery excellence section, a finance section, a cybersecurity section.
And I think in preparation for the exam, I read through all my notes throughout that I took throughout the program itself. And to Derek's point, yeah, half of it is what you know, and the other half is specific to the program. And if you attend every session and you're active participant in the session, then it makes it a lot easier. And I think it's really important to be present in these sessions as well, because you do get a lot from it.
And you're really, and every module, you're deepening those relationships with your cohort. I don't know if I went into this, but at the end of the cohort, we have a LinkedIn group where we get the cohort together. We can share information, share ideas, poke and ask questions. What are you doing with Gen AI? Have you deployed Copilot? And pretty soon we'll be launching unique events for these cohorts, so we can all get together, talk about things as leaders.
I think the community has been really helpful to that point, Derek. Just reaching out. I know not just for like fact checking or for just having just a community out there, but there was a situation where I was looking for a particular group, because of all the big consulting groups, and I wanted something smaller sized and to be the right fit, and just reaching out to a few people in the community. They had some great experiences and gave me some contacts. So it does extend from a networking perspective, very helpful.
Thank you. John, do you have anything else to add?
I always have something else to add, but I don't think now's the time.
Well, you're a professor.
They'll be hearing a great deal from me through every session, and my job is to try and link these sessions together and make sure that all the professors are doing all the things they're supposed to do. So, not at this time. Yeah.
Z or is it Zai?
Oh, it's an answer. Yeah. I just want to say it's great sessions. Thanks a lot. Just quick questions, probably a bit of, say, in case the CIO.D is not the immediate designations, that in case not getting, what other certificates or recognitions will be provided through this program?
I didn't catch that. Can you repeat what other steps?
Well,
I'm saying that in case that, let's say I'm not ready to get, becomes the CIO.D to try to becomes a member and try to get a certificate for whatever reasons, what other certificates or recognitions might get through this program? Right, just trying to understand that.
Well, if I'm understanding the question, you can certainly take this program at Rotman's and not pursue the designation. We've not had anyone do that yet. We do have, as CIOCAN, we do have another program we run outside of Rotman's, but it's not a designation program. So for us, this is the main one that provides a certification. Rotman's has other executive programs outside of technology, as John mentioned at the beginning, that this one qualifies for as part of a larger executive program. But you can certainly take the Rotman's program and with no intention of obtaining the designation, yes. But I would say if you're going to go that far, if you're going to go that far, you should go all the way. Right? You're putting in the effort and you're spending the money.
For sure.
Okay.
Okay.
There is a question about a discount, so I don't know if that's something that either Derek or perhaps Sharon or John wants to answer. Is there a public sector discount, or is it a standard costing regardless of organization?
Certainly not John. I'm on the academic side, not the business side. Sharon, are you still in on this call?
I think I'm knowledgeable enough to know that I don't believe there is, because we've had lots of public sector attendees.
Yeah.
And they, I believe, pay the normal rate compared to everyone else, because there's a lot, like we have all kinds of CIOs from universities who are now designated. And I don't believe there's a public sector discount.
Yeah, I don't think so either. But
we have for CIOCAN membership, we have an academic discount, but that's it, not for the actual program. I mean, if you look at the price point that this program is at, and you compare it to something like an ICD.D, which, I mean, they're not exactly the same thing, obviously, but this is like a third of the price. I think you're getting pretty good value, the caliber of the professors. And we haven't even mentioned that for many of these modules, John brings in very senior speaking guests who are CIOs or CTOs in the field. And that's been a very cool part of this program. So I think
the other bit of value for people who are working in the public sector in information technology and information services and is that there are enough people who've already been through the first two cohorts and will be in this cohort who are in the public sector, folks working for cities, folks working for the federal government, et cetera, that you will develop a network of people that you can really, really count on, because those folks are going to be in there with you.
If you want to, get a good idea of who the graduates are, just go on LinkedIn and do a search on CIO.D.
Yeah.
And you'll find 70 people there, and you'll see that the peer group is quite phenomenal.
Yeah.
Impressive list. There's also the question of, is the fee, the $10,000 or just under that, is it due at registration?
Sharon's not here, but no, I happen to know it's not. You register and then there's some period of time where you have to you can put a deposit and then you pay the rest later. But that would be a discussion when you go into Rotman's and you register. There's Sharon's information is there, and Jiri, you can ask her. But I happen to know that no, it's not due right away.
Yeah, I think
you still have time to convince your employer to ante up before that happens.
Well worth their investment.
Yeah, it's not just a cost, it's an investment. Yeah.
It's an investment. Learning is always an investment. Yeah. Okay, are there any other questions?
This has been great. So pleased that everyone made the time on their lunch to attend. Looking forward and hoping that that you're interested enough in pursuing it. And if you have any more questions, you can always reach out to any of us.
Yeah, I will be sending out a follow-up email with the recording of the session. And as Derek said, he's very good at answering questions, and I am happy to as well. So thank you for attending, and we hope to see you in March.
Thank you so much for the presentation.
Okay.
All the best, everyone.
Thank you.